For the past few years, I've bought hundreds of personal development, business, and marketing books in order to further my business and myself. To be very honest, most books out there regurgitate the same information that is found in another book. And they say that you're just one book away from a totally changed and transformed life as well. So I thought to myself, what books would I read if I were to start all over again where I don't have any knowledge, no skill, nothing at all? So if I were to lose everything and start all over from scratch, there were 10 books that I would read again so that I'm able to gain back my knowledge and skills. One is peak performance, the other is business. And I'll also share with you my biggest lessons from each of these 10 books so that you actually take away with insights that you can execute rather than just coming on here and then listening to book recommendations. So if you think this is going to be useful for you, smash the like button because I will really appreciate and it help out a lot of the algorithm to reach out even more people. And in this video, I'm going to share with you the top 5 peak performance books that I read all over again from scratch. And these are skills that are needed for me in order to build my first 6-figure business. If you're new here, my name is Darius, and on this channel I help client-obsessed, service-based entrepreneurs like you to scale clients to become overbooked without spending a dime on ads. So if you hate the spammy ads that you're seeing on YouTube, Facebook, and every other platform, smash the like button and smash the subscribe button as well to stay tuned to future videos. So the first book and skill that I've written down is the ability to be rejected over and over again. That's the first one. The second book and skill is to have unbreakable agreements so that others trust you for who you are. The third book and skill is to have laser-like focus. The fourth one is to thrive with responsibility under pressure. And last but not least is the way of thinking clearly. And just to note, the title of the book is not The Art of Thinking Clearly. So with that, let's dive into my favorite book, which is The Courage to be Disliked. Now, the most valuable skill in business, I'll say, is to learn to be rejected over and over again. Because you won't win the first time, you won't win the second time, you'll fail multiple times, but you just need that one win to get your momentum started over the next few months and years. Now, this book was really relevant to me a few years back because I had lower self-esteem and I was usually affected by the thoughts and opinions of other people. Okay, if this sounds like you, then this is gonna be a really good book. And this book is all about moving from the sense of inferiority to sense of superiority. Now, sense of superiority doesn't mean that, oh, I beat this person, oh, I'm able to win this person. No, it's not about domination or winning. It's about the competition within yourself rather than the competition with others. To me, if you're not really confident sometimes and sometimes you feel like you're not enough, this is a go-to book to start reading first. Now, here's my biggest lesson from this book. It's called The Separation of Tasks. What that means is that every one of us have different tasks that we are meant to do in our life. The universe has placed us into where we are currently right now to do the tasks that we are best born and best able to do. So the task of others is not the task of yours. For example, some other people have strengths in mathematics, maybe you have a strength in science, which is totally fine. You just have to focus on your own task. Now that's the same when it comes to people not liking you or people rejecting you, because that's not a task that you can control, that's a task of theirs. Your task at the end of the day is really just to do your best work and serve the people who wants to be served. If we always have the desire for recognition, for external validation and the thoughts and opinions of other people, then we're choosing to handle the tasks of other people's life which we have no control over. And in that essence, that means that we don't have control over our life as well. So to me, learning the separation of tasks was what really got me to understand that, okay, in my life, I just gotta handle my tasks while other people handle their tasks. And the more focused I was on the things that I did, the more I realized that I didn't really need external validation or opinions from others. Once you build up your self-esteem and confidence, the next thing you'll be doing is going out to meet people and then to make deals as well. This brings me to my second book, which is called The 4 Agreements. The second skill is really to create unbreakable agreements so that people are able to trust you and trust the work that you're gonna do. And this book doesn't talk about agreements with other people, but agreements with yourself so that other people are able to have conviction and belief in you. After all, if you break your own life agreements, how do you expect other people to trust you? Now, the biggest lesson that I got out from this book is the first agreement in the book, which is called Be Impeccable with Your Word. The biggest agreement that you can have is not with others, but it's with yourself. When you break an agreement with your friend or with your client, you're breaking an agreement with yourself as well. But what's dangerous about this is that the more self-agreements that you break, the more self-respect that you lose for yourself. Now, let's say you want to go to the gym, but you didn't. Let's say you wanted to be on time, but you didn't as well. Over time, all these agreements that you're breaking with yourself will create a series of broken promises. Now, I'm quite sure you have 1 or 2 people that you know that you usually won't trust their word because usually they say they'll do one thing, but they end up not doing it. And obviously, over time, this isn't really good if you're starting a business because people won't trust your reputation and won't trust you. Now the third book recommendation is called The One Thing. The third skill that I'll hone is not productivity, but it's focus. Now the thing with productivity is this: no matter how fast or great your car is, you will not get to your destination if you're traveling the wrong direction. And I'll say most of my mistakes wasn't because, oh, I wasted a few hours during the day. It was because I was wasting time doing the wrong things. And my good friend Alvin Poe says this: it's not about doing the things right, but it's doing the right things right. So if you're not working on the right things, then you're probably going in the wrong direction. So the biggest lesson I learned is that everything matters unequally. When we're constantly working every day, it usually feels like everything matters, that a lot of things are important. We have a huge to-do list from number 1 to number 5, and then we get overwhelmed because we see that like crap, there's a ton of things to do. But what I realized is that your most important thing cannot consist of 5 different things. If it's your most important thing, it should only consist of one thing. But most of the time, especially when starting and growing the business, we are doing a ton of different things every single day, every single week. And if you're watching this, right, you can probably remember the time when you first started and then you were doing multiple different things just to grow. So to me, it's really just to get clear on one thing and understand what's the direction forward with it. Now, if you want to know about what that one thing is, then obviously go and buy the book and actually read it. The fourth book recommendation is called Extreme Ownership. The fourth skill to me is taking responsibility while you're still under pressure. Now, it's usually very easy for you to take on responsibility when everything's going well. But it's not easy for you to take responsibility when shit hits the fan, when you're not doing very well, when you have a few failures. And in this book, Jocko Willing, the author, is a Navy leader, and he talks about all the times when he screw up badly during wars and he still take the responsibility for it. It's filled with many crazy blood, gore, sweat kind of stories in the book. But what I really love is that it's also applicable to business because he brings in context and examples that he used in workplaces as well. My biggest lesson from this book is that all success and failure will start and end with you. You have to accept that you will never have control over everything in your life. And when you're under pressure and uncertainty, you still have to get comfortable making decisions even though it's something that is hard. Now this helped me in the early days and even now because I'm a human, I still make mistakes. So sometimes I make mistakes in the work that I do and I still have to make a decision to go about solving that problem and how we're going to move forward. The fifth book is the most recently published book, but it really helped me clarify in my way of thinking like 2 years back. And it's called The Almanac of Naval Ravikant. Naval is a well-known angel investor that invests in Uber and Twitter and many other companies. He's pretty much known for his very philosophical thoughts when it comes to dealing with business. Now, I'm honestly not a fan when it comes to autobiographies because usually they tell a lot of different stories, but I don't really feel that there's much that I can go about applying in my current situation. But the author himself is not Naval, the author is actually Eric Jorgensen. What he did was to research on every single podcast, episode, articles, talks and everything that Naval has produced before. Then what he did was to concise all the best lessons he got out from the past few decades. So if you want to think a lot clearer, I know there are books out there like The Art of Thinking Clearly. To be very honest, this beats The Art of Thinking Clearly. Now, The Art of Thinking Clearly is a good book, don't get me wrong, right? It shares a lot about how you can go about thinking clearly. But this book shares a lot about what kind of things you want to be thinking about. Now, the biggest lesson I got from this book was the introduction of mental models. Now, mental models are basically the way that people think. For example, scientists and engineers make different decisions. So in this case, as I'm reading over here, scientists seek to describe and understand the natural world. Engineers consider various criteria and constraints in order to design solutions to problems. So to simplify it, scientists observe the world and ask the question of why things happen. Engineers goes about seeing problems and wanting to solve these problems. So there are different patterns of thinking. And the more you understand different mental models that the world has, the different ways of thinking, the more you're able to gain more perspective whenever you're meeting a situation. So one of my favorite sayings by my mentor is that wisdom is having instant perspective. And the way to building instant perspectives is to consider different thinking patterns so they are able to adopt them in order to solve a problem or in order to meet a situation. Now, based on hearing these 5 books, I would really love to know if you have read any of these books. Drop down some of your thoughts if you have read these books, and if you haven't, let me know below in the comments what books you are intending to read, and also go about sharing what are some of the favorite books that you'll reread again if you want to start all over again. Now, if you find this useful, go ahead and smash the like and subscribe button because I'm looking to race with Alvin Poe to the first 1K subscribers and I really want to beat him. And if you're asking what do I stand to win from this, honestly, nothing but bragging rights. So smash the like button and smash the subscribe button so I can beat his ass. Now if you want to know what's the top 5 business books that I'll read if I start up from scratch, go ahead and smash the like button and subscribe button so that you'll see the next few videos.